Greetings everybody, welcome to a video that shouldn't be too long, but we'll see. It's going to be longer than my hair, which is, yes, still bothering me. Although it is starting to grow back, so it's starting to look a little bit better, a little fuller, but anyway. Umbra's vanity aside, I want to talk about account migration. An idea of basically, what if we took the global accounts and merged them into the JP account? So that way, globalers who wanted keep all their progress and everything and still play the game and maybe even support the game from a JP side could still do that. And it is an idea. It is definitely an idea. However, there's a couple of things that I think make this pretty close to impossible. And I do absolutely believe that it is close to that pretty impossible spectrum. Like it's just the amount of work. First off, migrating accounts over, if anything goes wrong, is going to cause major problems with the JP side, and then potentially just flat out cause a lot of anger from JP players for something that they don't even know about at this point. Like if you go look at JP, there's still no in-game notice about global closing down. We are still on a countdown to the global anniversary. Doesn't make too terribly much sense, but there it is. So I would say that from like the amount of work and the potential problems that it could cause, just from a technical perspective, the amount of work is more labor than Gumi is willing to put in, and that is from a very clear like regression in player communication and everything. Like even JP live streams have completely disappeared basically. So yeah, I'm not thinking that they want to put the extra resources into something like that, which would be a pretty big undertaking. Also because the two versions are still fundamentally quite different. There are much more buffs that exist on global, which if you were to try and move global stuff over, you can't exactly just take those buffs away from vision cards and whatnot. That would require essentially nerfing characters, which from a JP app perspective, from the JP gacha laws, you are not allowed to nerf characters. So therefore, merging global characters over would require the entire JP side to be buffed, and the integration of character data that does not currently exist on JP, such as, for instance, New Year's Oberon, for example, which is not a thing on JP, or Addison Ray, which is not a thing on JP. So it's just a ton of work to move accounts over from one side to the other, which basically makes it impossible. It's either a massive buff list or a massive nerf list, and that's not including the technical problems, which if they do happen, and they're almost certainly going to happen given Wotv's track record, that I just don't think it is a good idea from that perspective. At this point, I do truly believe that a lot of old content is pretty irrelevant anyway. If we look at equipment, most equipment is not really used anymore. Like if you scroll down and go through a lot of this equipment, how much do you actually use? Yes, you've built it, but really how much of it is actually important? Sure, some of it, but you can probably get by without it. Also, starting from JP, you can get newer characters which are more relevant. There's a ton of resources to get from the story and events and everything that you will basically mean that you'll have tons of resources to do polls for characters, vision cards, and all of that. So I don't think that is particularly, necessarily a bad thing. And you'll be getting characters that are up to date and honestly kind of power creepy anyway, so you might as well just do that and enjoy it. I don't think, while I understand it was something I worked hard on for years kind of thing, getting rid of it sucks and probably was making me quit the game. It's almost certainly not going to happen for those reasons, but then we get into the other reasons, which has to do with gacha laws. Gacha laws are not only just very strict in JP from my experience, but if you also want to talk about the idea of getting those to do like a international thing when Europe is kind of cracking down on fake currencies such as Visior, probably not a good idea. That's something that Gumi really wants to get into. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be too terribly surprised if that was a reason why Global was EOSing, because why deal with all of this? It's just too much of a headache, and I guess it just isn't worth the money anymore. But yeah, when it comes to account migration, it is a nice idea, and I think it would be great. I would be very happy to welcome a lot of players from Global who still want to continue and could keep that work going into the future. However, I mean, the time difference, which I didn't even talk about, the nerf or buff, the technical issues, all of these kind of things basically make it way more difficult than I think most people think it is. So I would have to say that just off of my own perspective, probably not going to see, and I will give like a pretty damn certain odds. And that sucks, I know, but it is what it is. When you work on a gacha, even if you start picking up another gacha now, you have to know that all the work, all the time, all the effort you put into these will eventually be for nothing. Very few cases have I seen where things continue or something kind of happens afterwards. Like, for instance, Mega Man Cross Dive, which did get an offline merchant. I actually own that game. Kind of fun. But yeah, if you're holding your breath for account migration, don't. If you really want to, you're either going to have to, I think, make the call that you kind of want to play a little bit on JP and starting over won't be as bad as you think it is, or you can at least try it and see, and if you don't like it, well then whatever. But the idea that your accounts will be saved, I think the writing's pretty much on the wall for what will be happening. Anyway, sorry, I hate to be the messenger, I hate to be the bringer of bad news, but I think that is just the way it is. Love you all, take care of yourselves, and yeah, talk to you later.